It's time to preview this weekend's race and submit our picks for a chance to win $36,000. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jason Mattis with Winning Bets. Thanks for hanging out with me on this episode. This is our weekly NASCAR show where we look back on last week's race and then preview the upcoming race with an emphasis of submitting our picks for a chance to win $36,000. That's right. You can win $25,000 over on the Jackpot Races app. You can win another $10,000 over on the NBC Sports Predictor app. And you can win $1,000 over on the Fox Bet Super 6 app. You guys can see, obviously, I'm riding solo this weekend. I don't have William Blackwell along with me here. I'm just as set as you guys are. Love breaking down each and every single race with him. But I will be, he'll rejoin us next week. Fear not. We just couldn't quite get our schedules to align this week, though. That was unfortunate. But do make sure you go ahead and check out his channel. I know he's already previewed the race over on his channel. And then also he's got his pick 5 contest that he does each and every single week. So go ahead and check that out. And then next time, or for the next week there in a couple weeks, as the boys obviously have a couple weeks off, it'll be William and I will break down the next race there. I believe they're at Watkins Glen coming up after the break. All right, let's go ahead before we do look at this Foxwoods 300 race going on this weekend down there at New Hampshire. Let's go ahead and look at last weekend's race, where it was that Quaker State 400 down there at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, where Kurt Busch went ahead and took down that victory. What a good showing by Kurt Busch, and what made the entire race was a fantastic battle there by the Busch brothers. The Busch brothers had an excellent weekend. They went 1-2 in stage 1, in stage 2, and in the final stage there did those Busch brothers. So they put on a real good, exciting show there for the entire fans. Who was the MVP of that race? Who do you guys would give the MVP to? I know Kurt Busch will give it to Ross Chastain. You know damn well he's going to give that sucker to Ross Chastain. So, yeah, that was obviously good teamwork there. Kyle Busch, typical him. He was crying at the end, crying that, Ross Chastain obviously blocked him and, took away his air and took away his line and made it so Kurt Busch, passed him a little bit easier. But that's kind of what Kyle Busch does. He's just kind of a crybaby. You guys know I'm not a big Kyle Busch fan. But that being said, even though I'm not a Kyle Busch fan, I don't let my, call it hatred towards Kyle Busch, impact my ability to give you guys winning picks. Because you guys remember on last week's show, I told you Kyle Busch would finish P2. That's exactly what he did. So I may not be a fan of the guy, but I respect him enough, and I'll still handicap him appropriately. But yeah, Kyle Busch crying about Chastain, crying about his front end, giving him issues. Yeah, just give it to your brother, Kyle Busch. I mean, it was a fantastic battle, really throughout the entire race. You and Kurt going at it. Just give it to him, man. Just give it to him. So how about that track issue there, though? Big hole there in the racetrack. They had a red flag that sucker, and then go ahead and make a repair. I don't know if you guys listened to Radioactive this week and heard Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick was like, "Yeah, this will give those people, give them something to say when they, like, oh, this is why the track needs to be repaved." just everybody, obviously in NASCAR, hates that they're going to go ahead, or I should say, all the drivers. They just hate, that they're going to change the banking and make that track a little bit, narrower and tighten the cars up. But yeah, that was just a funny comment that he made on Radioactive. And of course, that's what everybody's going to say. I mean, the track needed to be repaired. It needed to be repaired, whether they were going to, or repaved, whether they were going to change the banking and make it narrow or not. It seemed like it needed to be repaved because you got chunks of the track just coming right up on that sucker. So what about Kyle Larson, guys? You guys think Kyle Larson's in a little bit of a slump? And when I mean a little bit of a slump, I mean, I think that speaks to just how dominant he has been lately and giving him all the respect. But, he got 18th at Atlanta. He got 16th at Road America 2 weeks before that. And then his 18th place finish, though, at Atlanta, I understand why he got 18th finish. Obviously, I watched that race, and he had the speeding there, so he had to do a pass-through. So that's why he ended up in 18th, but he finished up in 18th. And there was enough laps where Kyle Larson has shown a lot of speed, probably the most speed of any of the car there in the Cup Series over, the last few months. He's had the most speed, and he was the last car on the lead lap, finishing 18th. So I guess that's what I'm more surprised at. I mean, yeah, he had the penalty, so that's going to take him out of contention of competing certainly for the checkered flag, but even competing for a top 5 or top 10. But just his inability to pass anybody with a whole lot of laps to go, with all the speed he's showing. You add that to a 16th place at Road America, where he obviously won at Sonoma and dominated Sonoma, so he's a good road course driver. So perhaps perhaps Kyle Larson and that team could be slumping. Maybe they peaked too soon. I saw an interview with Chase Elliott a handful of weeks ago where he talked about teams, in previous years maybe peaking too soon. We'll see if that number 5 has maybe peaked too soon, or if maybe he can get back on track this weekend. And then Daniel Suarez hurt me. I gave you guys Daniel Suarez. He was one of my picks last week. We guys know these contests are generally tough, but my man got wrecked out by the number 51 of Cody Ware. That's all. That just speaks about kind of just how tough this competition is. Earlier on in that race, it was right after the competition caution. They obviously do the restart. And like I said, the 51 there, Cody Ware got into Suarez, or got into Stenhouse, and Stenhouse got in. Actually, yeah, he got into Stenhouse, and then Stenhouse got into Suarez. But it just speaks about just kind of how tough this game is. I thought Suarez was going to have a nice, solid day, but an early wreck did him in. That's what it takes, or that's all it takes, I should say, to kind of wreck your day here on these games. But with that being said, let's go ahead now and turn the page. Great race there at the Quaker State 400, but now we've got the Foxwoods Resort Casino 301 down there at the New Hampshire Speedway right there. This one, guys, it's a 1 mile track. It's flat. It's a short track. It's a flat, short track. I would compare it really to Richmond and Phoenix, because you've got, I don't know if Richmond's a touch shorter, only at 3/4 of a mile, but just in terms of they're both flat and short tracks. So if you're doing your handicapping for this race, obviously you want to certainly look at New Hampshire and what the guys do here, but give a peek at Richmond and give a peek at Phoenix. I know I certainly did when I was breaking down, these drivers, trying to figure out who was going to be best, as I did Richmond, Phoenix, and obviously as well, to go along there with New Hampshire. As I just said, the guys are getting ready. This is the last race before the break. It's due to the Olympics, so the guys will have a couple weeks off. So this is going to be a big track, a big race. Everybody wants to have momentum. Everybody wants to feel good. When you go into a 2-week layoff, you don't want to go in feeling all shitty. You want to go in feeling good. It doesn't mean you have to get a checkered flag, but a top 5, a top 10, depending on who you are, maybe even a top 20, depending on which driver you are. You want to be feeling good. So I'm expecting a good, exciting race. I'm going to hit you guys with one name, because I'm not going to mention him through the rest of this show, but Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick, his last 3 races here at New Hampshire, he's got the best average finish, he's got the best driver rating, he's got 2 wins, and all 3 of them are in the top 5. Why am I not going to mention Kevin Harvick again? He just doesn't seem to have it. Him, the 4 car, the 4 team, and Stewart-Haas Racing just doesn't seem to have it. And I know William last week, he predicted Kevin Harvick to win that race. There's a reason why he predicted Kevin Harvick to win that race. When you look at Kevin Harvick's stats, obviously he's one of the top drivers on the Cup Series. He's got good numbers each and every week when he goes to these tracks. He is just not getting it done. I wanted to give you his numbers just so you have them, because when you look up the numbers here at New Hampshire, he's got the best numbers, and that is, by far he's got the best number. But yeah, I'm not gonna be having any piece of Kevin Harvick. He's gotten to the point where he's just gonna have to do it one time, and obviously it means I won't pick him, and I'll obviously miss out on that win before I can predict him to do it, because he just doesn't, quite frankly, he just doesn't have it this season. So there you go right there. All right, let's jump on into it now. Let's start off first with the $25,000 over on the Jackpot Races. This is where they give you the 6 groups of drivers. You got to pick the driver to finish best amongst the group, and then you got to give them a winner, and you got to give them a second place finish. All right, so for Group 1, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin's going to be for my pick there in Group 1. Look, he was 3rd at Phoenix and 2nd at Richmond. And again, I'm going to mention that for a lot of these drivers coming up, because I think those 2 racetracks are really good comps here to New Hampshire. So yeah, 3rd at Phoenix, 2nd at Richmond. He would have, and listen to these drivers he's pinned up here in this group. He's pinned up against Larson, Kyle Busch, Byron, and Elliott. Larson, he's having a fantastic season. Kyle Busch, he's just having a really good season. He's competing each week with the Hendrick Motor Team, so he's doing good. Byron and Elliott, they're on Team Hendrick. Team Hendrick's been doing good. But who's won this group at Richmond and at Phoenix? It's Denny Hamlin. If you look at these 5 drivers at Richmond and Phoenix, it's Denny Hamlin who would have won this group. And that to me weighs in quite significantly, because again, I think those 2 racetracks are pretty similar here to New Hampshire. So, but if we look at what he's done here at New Hampshire, he's got 2 top 5s. He's got the 3rd best average finish. He's got the 2nd best driver rating. He's led the most laps since 2018 here at New Hampshire. So I absolutely love that. He got 2nd place finish here last year at New Hampshire. He got 1st and 2nd in the 2 stages before his P2 finish. So yeah, I'm worried a touch by momentum, just because he was hot in the beginning of the season, even though he wasn't winning races. He was obviously, first in the standings. He still is first in the standings. His lead has obviously shrunk a lot. And the reason it shrunk a lot is, A, Kyle Larson's, been tremendous, but B, Maybe doesn't have quite the greatest momentum, but I'm going to go on the history of what he does here at New Hampshire, and then also similar tracks there at Phoenix and Richmond. So for Group 1, go ahead and give me Danny Hamlin. For Group 2, I'll go ahead and take his teammate. I'm going to go ahead and take Martin Truex Jr. there in Group 2. Look, he had P3 in Atlanta last week, so I like that momentum. He had a good start to his season earlier on and kind of cooled off, but I like that P3 finish he had last week in Atlanta. He was first at Phoenix, fifth at Richmond. So again, two racetracks I think are pretty similar. He was P5 and top 5 in both of them. And at Richmond, when he finished fifth, he had 107 laps as a leader. So he led 107 laps. He was a strong car that day. And again, he was first at Phoenix. He's got the second best average finish and the second best driver rating, 2 top 5 since 2018. Absolutely love that. He got third last season and he was top 10 in all of the stages. So go ahead and give me Martin Truex Jr. there in Group 2. For Group 3, go ahead and give me Christopher Bell. I guess I'm all over Joe Gibbs Racing this weekend, folks, because Group 3, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give it there to Christopher Bell. He was 9th at Phoenix, and he was 4th at Richmond. And again, if you look at the drivers he's pinned up against this group, it's Chastain, Kurt Busch, Dillon, and Reddick. He would have won this group at Richmond and at Phoenix earlier on this season. Of those drivers he's now pinned up against, obviously Kurt Busch is the one that, the last few weeks he's obviously turned it up, got the victory again last week, but I'm not too worried about it because Christopher Bell, he's been doing good in his own right again. Like I said, 9th at Phoenix, 4th at Richmond. He goes 8th at Atlanta, so it wasn't like he was all that bad. He got 8th place finish at Atlanta. He's only raced here at New Hampshire once. That was a 28th place finish. But he wasn't in a Joe Gibbs car. I mean, he's having a better season. Again, 8th last week. I mentioned just Phoenix and Richmond, how good he did there. Top 10 in both of those races. He's going to be better than what he was because he's in a better car when he goes to New Hampshire this time. So go ahead and give me Chris Buescher there in Group 3. For Group 4, I'll go ahead and give it to Matty D. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Matt DiBenedetto here. And this one was between him and Eric Almirola. If you look at Eric Almirola's numbers here at New Hampshire, just look at track history. It is phenomenal. I mean, he's got some really good numbers here, but yeah, not having the greatest of all season, obviously run into a lot of bad luck. So I went ahead there and picked Matt DiBenedetto. Look, Matt DiBenedetto's coming off a 9th place finish there at Atlanta. His performance has actually ticked up. That team, they made some changes a few weeks ago in that team. Their performance has followed those changes. They've done a lot better, including that 9th place finish there at Atlanta. He had good showings at Richmond and Phoenix, 9th at Richmond, 14th at Phoenix. So I absolutely like that. Here at New Hampshire, he was a 6th place finish. Last year at New Hampshire, he had 2 top 10s overall here at New Hampshire. So I love that. And then if you just want like a little added bonus, just a little bit of cherry on the top, this guy should be as motivated as ever. We all know, obviously, by the time you watch this, and due to, obviously, when I'm putting this up here on Friday, he's essentially been fired, for lack of a better term. He's been fired. They're from the Wood Brothers Racing Team. They're not going to go ahead and renew him and bring him back. They're going to go ahead and bring in Burton now to take over that 21 car. So, I mean, he's already been doing good. Like I said, since the team made changes, performances has been ticking up. I mean, and then just add in the motivation, right? I mean, I had him picked. I think I did this research back on Wednesday, and it was before this news had dropped, and I had already picked Matt DiBenedetto. That's why I just call this like a little added bonus, just a little bit of cherry on the top, because I already liked him. Now you get this motivation ever. The team should be motivated. Everybody needs jobs for next season. So go ahead and give me Matt DiBenedetto there in Group 4. For Group 5, I'm going to go and say Bubba Wallace. And I don't pick him too often, but he's actually been doing pretty good lately. His momentum is doing really, really good. He's got 3 straight top 15s if you look at ovals. Remove the road courses there and just look at the last 3 ovals. He's got all of them in the top 15. That includes both races there at Pocono on the doubleheader weekend, and that includes last weekend at Atlanta. So I like that he's trending up. He's had some good performances, and this is another driver where if you look at Atlanta and the 2 races in Pocono, he would have won this group in all 3 of those races amongst the drivers he's pinned up against. So I absolutely like that. He won this group in Phoenix by 6 spots, so like that. Another similar track. And I'm just leaning on momentum here. You go ahead, you can look up his numbers here at New Hampshire. They're not all that great, but I just think him and his team is trending up with what they've done at Atlanta, what they did the doubleheader weekend there at Pocono. So I'll ride the momentum here and see if Bubba Wallace can't give us a victory here in Group 5. For Group 6, I'll go ahead and give it to Eric Jones. I'll go ahead and give it to Jared Jones. And again, similar tracks at Richmond and Phoenix. He won this group in both of those courses at Richmond and Phoenix. He got top 20 himself in both of those groups, which again, I've talked about in previous shows. Top 20 may not be sexy, but we're in Group 6. So if he's in top 20 if he finishes this race in top 20, I mean, he'll beat these guys. I mean, this is the slappy group here in Group 6, so I like that. And he got 6th place here in New Hampshire in 2017, and that was with Front Row Racing. So I obviously know he's in a worse car than obviously what he was last year there at JGR. But he did it here in 2017 with Front Row Racing. Again, not one of these top teams in the Cup Series, so he got a 6th place finish. So this guy can do it. So I like Eric Jones be best amongst this group. All right, now I got to give you guys a winner, and I got to give you guys a 2nd place finish for a winner. I'm going to go ahead and take Martin Truex Jr. I love his history here at this track. Love the momentum he comes in coming off Atlanta. So I think Martin Truex Jr. will do it here. So give me the winner for him. And for 2nd place, I'll go ahead and say Denny Hamlin again. He's good numbers. He was good at Richmond, good at Phoenix. Yeah, so I like Denny Hamlin to come in just behind his teammate at P2 to round out that Jackpot Races there for a chance to win $25,000. Let's now move over to the NBC Sports Predictor app where we can win $10,000. This is the one where they give you the 3 stages. You got to pick the driver to finish best amongst the group, and then you got to give them a top 3. All right, for stage 1, I'll go ahead and do Martin Truex Jr. For stage 2, I'll go ahead and give it to Kyle Busch, and obviously when I did this, when I first looked at the app, I was like, all right, Kyle Busch, like that's kind of a no-brainer. And then I scrolled through the rest of the names in the group, and it was actually kind of funny. Like Bubba Wallace is in this group, and obviously I picked Bubba Wallace, up on the Jackpot Races app. But in no disrespect to Bubba Wallace, but he ain't on the class of what Kyle Busch is at least doing. Certainly this season, what he's doing this stretch. So I thought it was just a little bit funny of the drivers in this group. Yeah, picking Kyle Busch was absolutely a no-brainer right there. So, and moving over now to stage 3, I'll go ahead and give it to Danny Hamlin. Obviously, I've got him finishing P2. I like Danny Hamlin right there. So for a top 3, I'm going to go ahead and keep it pretty similar to what we did on Jackpot Races app. I'm going Truex Jr., I'm going Hamlin, and I'm going Alex Bowman. I think Alex Bowman will sneak up into the top 3 there. He won Richmond. He, was really good there. He won Dover, which is just another short track. And obviously he won Pocono. So he's got 3 wins on the season right there. So he's doing good. He's just having a really good season. So, yeah, go ahead and give me Alex Bowman. He'll round out the top 3 for that app. All right, now let's move over to the Fox Bet Super 6 app. This is where you can win $1,000 at 6 questions. Get them all right. Split the $1,000. All right, which card's going to have the best position after, after stage 1 here? I'm going to go ahead and look at the percentage here and follow the herd here on this one. I'm going to go ahead and take Blaney. I had it between Blaney and Dillon. I'll follow the herd. I'll go with it. I mean, yeah, I'll just go with Blaney. The numbers kind of justify it, so go ahead and give me Blaney right there. How many Fords are going to be in the top 10 after stage 3? I've got 0 to 3 Fords there in the top 10. Or stage 1, I believe it was. Maybe I read Fords in the top 10 after stage 1. I got 0 to 3. Who's going to have the worst position after stage 2? I'll go and give it to Logano. And it was between him or Elliott, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to Logano right there as having the worst position after stage 2. How many Joe Goods racing cars will be in the top 10 after stage 2? I'm going with more than 1, and this was easy. I mean, at least based on everything I've told you guys about Bell and Truex and Hamlin, yeah, more than 1, easy decision for me going right there. How many Hendrick Motorsports, Hendrick Motorsports with the most points at the end of the race? I'll go ahead and say Alex Bowman as he finishes P3. Which driver will be in the best position at the end of the race? I'll go ahead and give it to Brad Keselowski right there. He's last year's defending champion, and he got a 2nd place finish at Phoenix earlier on the season. So I expect Brad Keselowski to have him a nice weekend this weekend, so I'll go ahead and give it to him. All right, guys, that's how we're going to do it for a chance to win $36,000 across 3 different apps. If you're like me and you like to bet on sports, put real money on the line, go check out Friday's episode of my daily sports betting show. I've got 2 NASCAR head-to-heads. We've been on fire in NASCAR recently. We even including a 2-0 sweep last week. So if you're interested in some real bets, go check out Friday's show where I've got 2 NASCAR head-to-head bets for you guys. Otherwise, guys, let's enjoy this race. We'll come back here in a couple weeks. Maybe we won't recap this race because it'll have been so long, but we'll kick off the next week, which is at the Watkins Glen Road Course, and we'll submit our picks for a chance to win that race to get that money. All right, guys, enjoy it. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Thanks for watching till the end. I'm Jason Mattis. Any love you can show by giving me a like, a subscription, or a comment, or even just share this video is very much appreciated. And don't forget to turn on your notifications to increase your chances of locking in the same odds as I talked about today. And check out my other great videos in these corners.